بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم به نحمده ونستعينه.
MashaAllah, who's this new guy? I never met him before.
ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا وشفيعنا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله الله بالهدى ودين الحق بين يدي الساعة بشيرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا. إن الحمد لله حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيدا. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has allowed us continuously to meet on this digital platform to praise, remember, and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What's even more special is that today, mashallah, we have the Travis MSA Youth with us, and this is a program that they are hosting, mashallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so, anything the youth do, mashallah, they pave the way in, mashallah, alhamdulillah. We have Aliyan Hashmani. He's the co-president of at Travis MSA. You have myself, alhamdulillah, and we have Sheikh Mikhail with us, inshallah. He's going to begin the program. Well, Aliyan, are you begin the program?
Yeah, so we're going to start off with the Quran recitation from Brother Mikhail over here. So go ahead, take it away from us.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وكم من قرية أهلكناها فجاءها بأسنا بياتا أو هم قائلون. فما كان دعواهم إذ جاءهم بأسنا إلا أن قالوا إنا كنا ظالمين. فلنسألن الذين أرسل إليهم ولنسألن المرسلين فلنقصن عليهم بعلم وما كنا غائبين. والوزن يومئذ الحق فمن ثقلت موازينه فأولئك هم المفلحون ومن خفت موازينه فأولئك الذين خسروا أنفسهم بما كانوا بآياتنا يظلمون. صدق الله العظيم.
MashaAllah, 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 alhamdulillah. We also have here Ishan Samad Wahab, mashallah. He's the other co-president of Travis MSA, mashallah. Taha Beg, you want to fix your camera just a little bit? A little bit more? Mr. Bagster, you want to show
I can't hear anything that Sheikh Ahmad is saying.
Huh?
Oh, he said he couldn't hear what you're saying.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Mikhail, can you hear Imam Ahmad?
Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, I can't hear him.
Mika, you can't hear me?
Can you hear him?
No, I can't hear
Hear him.
I can't hear you.
Alhamdulillah.
Wait, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay,
What's
I
going on with the camera?
Who, me?
Taha.
We're talking about.
Oh, I don't. He can't hear you, right?
What's up?
Dude, we're trying to fix your camera a little bit, bud.
I'm trying to put it onto my laptop. I'm on my phone. I'm fixing my laptop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sure.
So let's go ahead and move on.
Yes.
So, my name is Ayan Hashmani. As Imam Ahmad introduced me, I'm co-president of Travis MSA.
And I'm Ishan Samad Wahab, and I'm the other co-president of Travis MSA.
So I just want to first start off by saying thank you for those who are listening and watching us. This is the first part of a 4-part series. Our main goal with this series is, with these webinars, is even though everything is on lockdown and on pause, we as an MSA still wanted to press play and keep going for the members of our community.
Ooh, press play.
With these webinars, we would hope to open your mind, heart, and soul. So with that being said, the man that needs no introduction, Imam Ahmad Khan.
Alhamdulillah, mashallah. So the topic that was given to me was, how do we open the hearts of our neighbors in this month of Ramadan? And, subhanAllah, it's a very interesting topic because on one level, the idea is, first our hearts need to be opened before we open the hearts of anyone else, right? So I'm going to begin with that part, right? It's like, a lot of times when we think about our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we often think about like rules and restrictions and all kinds of just weird things when it comes to what Allah wants from me, right? Oh, I can't date. Oh, I can't drink. Oh, I can't smoke. Oh, I can't party. I can't go clubbing. I can't pierce my ears. I can't do this. I can't do that. I want to share some verses of the Quran with you in hopes of opening my own heart and sort of recalibrating our understanding of our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because real talk, man, I grew up right here in Houston, Texas. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas. H-Town.
Yes, sir.
The thing is that, I grew up just like that, right? I didn't grow up in a family of like scholars or something. I was actually myself, I was becoming a doctor. I wanted to be a doctor. I was a pre-med student at U of H. And I had no intention of ever becoming an imam or anything like an imam for that matter. And, growing up, I had this struggle as well. Oh man, if I wasn't Muslim, I could have so much more fun, right? And then, as I grew up, I realized like, no, that's not the case. And, I judged my religion, based on the people around me. And that's not always the best thing to do, especially like in the times that, we're growing up now. I mean, we're sort of surrounded by filth, right? On so many different levels. I remember growing up, I never, ever saw any television shows that used to question the idea of arranged marriage. I mean, not that people talked about it, but it was just not a topic that came up. And now you see a bunch of different TV shows that are just like putting it in the dirt, right? And for a lot of people that are growing up and they don't have grounding in their religion, in their faith, or in their own identity, a lot of people, they're like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah An-Nisa, He says, يريد الله ليبين لكم ويهديكم سنن الذين من قبلكم ويتوب عليكم والله عليم حكيم. So Allah says that what does Allah want? He says, I want clarity for you, right? I want clarity for you. And for us, right, where we're in this sort of situation where everything is like in the gray area, nothing makes sense, this should be something amazing, right? Allah wants clarity for us. What else does He want? He wants to guide us, right? He wants to guide us. And the thing is that if somebody came up to us, right, during this time in our life, and they said, "Yo, I want to clarify things for you. I want to guide you," we'd be like, "Man, that's so dope." For real, like we would question the intentions. You know what I mean? We'd be like, "Why? What you want? Right? What's in it for you?" Like real talk. Right? That's what we're living in, where our relationships with people have become so superficial, right? That if somebody actually wants to help us and they actually want to guide us, we're like, "Yo, there's something wrong with this dude." Like we can't even accept it, right? And if somebody did come and say that, like, "Yo, I want to help you. I want to make sure you're the most successful person on earth. I want to make sure you have all the tools that you need," we'd be like, "Man, subhanallah." We would praise Allah. And this is Allah telling us that's what He wants for us. So in this month of Ramadan, like while we're pressing play, we'd be like, "Man, subhanallah." We would praise Allah. Allah. Subhanallah, there's two of me. MashaAllah. So with that being said, what does guidance mean? So Allah explains that. He says, "Sunan alladhina min qablikum," right? On the path of those who came before you, right? So the thing is that why do we need Allah to guide us? Number one, that's the first question, right? Why can't Bob and John guide us, right? Or Ashley and Sarah, right? Why do we need Allah? Why can't Adam do it? Why can't John do it? Why can't Jacob do it? Why do we need Allah to guide us? Why are you looking suspicious? You're looking straight sketch, bro. MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah. So we need Allah to guide us, because if I told you something, it's the same as you telling me something. Like if I'm like, "Ishan, I don't like red," you're like, "So what? I do."
You want me to take it off?
No, it's all good. It's all good. I was giving an example
right here, man. Don't worry.
No, I was just giving an example, right? And just like you, if you said, "Hey, Ahmad, I don't like black," I'm like, "So what? I like black." Right? So you and I were on the same level. We can't tell each other what's right and wrong. We can't, right? And the thing is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He plays that role. Like if we look at it from the beginning of history, from the beginning of time till now, what's the golden question? What's good? Right? We still ask it, right? What's good? We still ask it, but because we still don't know, right? Every philosopher, every religion, every society, their whole idea was to define what's beneficial, right? And the reason it doesn't work when man does it is because, we're all at the same level. If I said, for example, if country A goes to war with country B, right? Maybe for country A to go to war with country B is beneficial for country A, but is it beneficial for country B? No, right?
Yeah.
Right? And so what's good for one may not be good for someone else. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us what's up, that's good for everyone, right?
Yeah.
That's good for all of us, right? So when Allah says, don't even go near zina, don't go near fornication, that's straight up, that's a message for us, right? It's not about limitations. It's not about restrictions. It's about, that's wrong. It's not good for you. It's going to take you in the opposite direction of success. So when He says, "Sunan alladhina min qablikum," like He wants to guide us onto the path of the people that came before us, that tells us that if we depend on society to tell us what's right and wrong, over time, the idea of morality will begin to dissipate, right? The idea of morality will begin to remove itself. It's going to get worse. And I'll give you an example, right? When I was growing up, there was no question if marijuana was good for you or not. There was no question, right? It was bad for you. Simple, right? If you do it, you're gonna end up, homeless. Like that's just the impression that was, right? And I spent some time in California studying, and and literally, like in California, like you're walking down the street, and it's like in the air, right? Marijuana is just in the air. Like you can just constantly smell it all day long. It's all up in the air, right? And you see both sides of the equation. You see the people that are like straight up homeless, and then you see the people who are like very wealthy, right? Driving Teslas and Ferraris and Lambos, and smoking a joint. So the idea is that we can't depend on society to tell us what's right and wrong, because over time the idea the bar will come lower and lower and lower and lower. Just 30 years ago, the way women used to dress, the way men used to dress, right? Like I remember I went to a wedding maybe 4 years ago, and a Muslim wedding, and I saw a bunch of dudes wearing suits on capris, and I'm like, what the hell is this, right? Like I was like, bro, like that's like next level, right? It's like next level. And like the pants were so tight that they were creasing up on their legs, and I'm like, bro, those look like yoga pants, right? And so if we depend on society to tell us what's up, we're gonna slowly degrade ourselves. And so if you look at like the rappers of today, I don't even know their names.
Nothing.
Name someone.
J. Cole.
Huh?
J. Cole.
Nah, J. Cole's alright. Who else?
Kevin Gates, a Muslim rapper.
Kevin Gates.
I mean, like, what I mean to say is like he's not about that like purse wearing life,
Oh, okay, someone like
Lil Uzi Vert.
Little Uzi?
Marilyn Manson.
Huh?
Marilyn Manson.
I don't even know who
Marilyn Manson.
But my point is if you just look at rap, right, or even R&B from 20 years ago, you look at their CD covers and you look. Well, you guys don't have CDs anymore, which is really weird. Subhanallah. But like if you look at album covers, right, from 20 years ago, and you look at album covers today, you're like, what the hell happened? Like, what kind of Kool-Aid are they drinking? Even if you look at even if you listen to the lyrics of the music, you're like, what happened, right? Because when you listen to like Nas, for example, or Tupac, for example, and you break down their lyrics, you're like, wow, this is actually pretty intense intellectual stuff, right? Even Eminem from like back in the day, when you actually listen to his stuff, you're like, wow, how did you even make that rhyme? Today, it's literally like beats and like I don't even know what to say, right? And this started happening when I was growing up, right? There was this one song, I got money in the bank, shorty with the drink, right? And that was the whole that was literally the whole song, right? And it's like, how, man? How? What are we teaching the people? What are we teaching the masses, right? Because everybody's plugged up now, right? People are listening constantly and constantly and constantly. It changes your psychology. It changes your ability to perceive the world for what it is, right? And so that's, I think, number one, that's what we have to understand, is that our Lord gave us this book to take us out of darkness and bring us into light. Like, that's just what it is, right? لِيُخْرِجَكُم مِّنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ. He gave this book to us so that we could come out of darkness, right? And, there's an ayah in the Quran in Surah Al-A'raf, verse number 157. I mean, this is like straight up like a mic drop moment, right? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala presents for us. He says, يَأْمُرُهُمْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَيُحِلُّ لَهُمُ الطَّيِّبَاتِ وَيُحَرِّمُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْخَبَائِثَ وَيَضَعُ عَنْهُمْ إِصْرَهُمْ وَالْأَغْلَالَ التِّي كَانَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ. He says that we sent a messenger to tell you, to inform you what's good for you and what's bad for you, right? And to make lawful, to make permissible only good things, and to prohibit only evil things. And when you apply this in your life, it relieves you of the burden and the shackles of this world, right? So our relationship, with the religion is like we're getting locked and chained, but Allah is saying something exactly opposite. He's saying something completely different. He's saying, yo, if you apply what I tell you, I will bring you to success. I will elevate your stature, right? And so that's the first thing that we have to understand before we take it to our neighbors, right? And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says something very beautiful. And it begins with Shahru Ramadan, right? He says the month of Ramadan. Let me just ask you all real quick. Like when we think about Ramadan, what's the first thing that comes up?
I mean,
there's no right or wrong answer here.
Fasting.
Fasting. What else?
For me personally, peace and blessings.
What else, Taha?
Overcooking.
When we think about Ramadan, what's the first thing that comes to our mind?
Oh, patience and lack of water.
Mashallah, alhamdulillah. So what? So the idea is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he introduces the month of Ramadan and he says Al-Quran. The month of Ramadan, Al-Quran. It's about the Quran. What's the Quran for? Hudal linnas, to guide mankind. Interesting, right? Because he didn't say Hudal lil Muslimin, to guide Muslims. He didn't say Hudal lil Mu'minin, to guide believers. He said Hudal linnas, right? So when we begin to apply these principles in our lives, right? Think about it this way, right? If there's three people smoking a joint, what's the fourth person doing?
More than
Smoking.
Huh?
I was just
Smoking.
smoking, yeah.
Right? More than likely,
Secondhand smoke.
right? No, not even secondhand smoke. What happens? Puff, puff,
Pass.
right? Puff, pass, right?
I mean, I wouldn't know.
Eventually, that joint is going to get passed to number 4, right? And maybe the first day, the number 4 person is going to say, no, I'm good. Maybe the second day, he's going to say, no, I'm good. Third day, he says, no, I'm good. Fourth day, more than likely, he's going to be, all right, let me see what this is about, right? So if we are around people that do problematic things, then we too will do problematic things. It doesn't matter if they're Muslims or not Muslims. Now, if we as believers, we become people of principle, right? That our classmates, when they think about someone who's going to help them, they think about me, right? When they think about someone who's going to bail them out of trouble, they think about me. When they think about somebody who can keep a secret, they think about me. When they think about someone who's going to give them a hand when they're down, they think about me. When they think about someone who they can open up and speak their mind to, they think about me. Then that person is going to want to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. What is motivating me to be a good person? What is motivating me to be a good human being? Because the reality is this, right? In this world, is it temporary or everlasting?
Temporary.
It's temporary, right?
Yeah.
So if my motivation is from this world, then my motivations will be what?
From this world.
Everlasting.
No, if my motivations are from this world, this world is
temporary,
right?
Yeah, temporary.
They'll be temporary, right?
Yeah.
So if my motivation is to please my parents, or my motivation is to please my spouse, or my motivation is to become popular, or my motivation is this, that, and the other, that time will come to an end. It will be temporary. So if my motivation is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's the only time I will consistently be able to be patient. I will consistently be able to keep secrets. I will consistently show up and stand up for humanity, because even though it's hurting me, right? What's going to happen? Like, if I keep hooking you up, right?
Someone has their volume on. Can they turn it off, please? Or mute themselves?
MashaAllah. So the idea is that, man, like if my motivation is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I will continue to give even when people are not giving to me, right? Just because people are behaving like snakes doesn't give me the right to behave like a snake, right? And so we have to open our hearts to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first, right? Alian, stop laughing, bro. This guy turns off his camera, goes and laughs and comes back. I'm good. You good?
Yeah, I'm chilling.
He's still stuck in high school.
Oh, mashallah, alhamdulillah. So, you know, like that's just what it comes down to, right? We begin to open up the hearts of people when our hearts are opened up first, right? Who wants to give their hard-earned money to people? No one does. It's only when we believe. See, there's this idea, there's this false idea of oh, I'm going to be selfless. You guys have heard of that? The word selfless. What does selfless mean?
Like very, like you don't think about yourself. Like you're thinking about others before you think about yourself.
All right, real talk. Do you feel that that's possible?
No.
I mean, to an extent, yeah.
Nah.
Give me an example.
If I have food, like I swear on everything. If I have food in my hands and someone asks me for food, I will give it to them. I don't care if I'm hungry.
That's a good quality, right?
Yeah.
But how long can that stay? Right? You may do it one time. You may do it 2 times.
Right.
You may do it 3 times. But you will not do it the 4th time.
Well,
let me give you an example.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Right. So I see a homeless person on the side of the street, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got money. And I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling overly selfless today. I'm going to give you a 20. I give him a 20. Then I keep driving. I see another homeless person. What am I going to do?
Give him 20.
Give him a 20? All right. Then I see a third one. What am I going to do?
You might not give him anything.
You see what I'm saying? Right? My heart was satisfied with the first one.
Yeah.
I did my good deed for the day. You feel me? So because again, I'm worshiping the action, right? But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he never said no. He never said no. Anytime somebody came and asked him, he gave it to him. To the point, one time he took a loan from someone else to give it to the person, and to the point on his deathbed, you know, the Prophet ﷺ, he asked his family members, asked the Sahaba that, hey, you know, are there any debts that are due upon the Prophet ﷺ that he has not paid? And so, you know, one companion, he came up, I don't remember his name, but he came up, he said, Ya Rasulullah, yeah, you owe me some money, right? And the Prophet ﷺ is like, yeah, I probably do, but can you remind me? And so he reminded him of the story about how one companion came to see him and he didn't have money in his pocket, so he took a loan from someone else and gave it to this person, right? Right? Subhanallah. And so how do we do that, right? Because that's what we want to do, right? But it doesn't mean, okay, I'm gonna bring it back in a second because I feel like this is probably scaring the hell out of most people, right? You know, what it is that, look, we want to be like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Can we become exactly like him? No. But we can learn from his principles, right? So how was the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam always forgiving, always giving, always patient? He never screamed, he never yelled. In his entire life, he never screamed, he never yelled, right? So how did he do that? He did that because he was completely reliant upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was completely reliant upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so if we look at the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he converted more people, right? How can we impact people? We can impact people by what we say, we can impact people by what we do, and we can impact people by who we are, right? You know, in Arabic they say af'al, aqwal, and ahwal, right? So the Prophet ﷺ, he actually brought more people to Islam because of who he was, not because of what he said and what he did. If we look at the ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the prophetic traditions of the Prophet ﷺ, they're like one-liners. Majority of the ahadith, There's no chit chat, right? They're one-liners, right? لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. None of you will truly believe until you love for your brother and sister what you love for yourself, right? What you love for humanity, what you love for yourself. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى أكون هواه تبعا لما جئت به. That none of you will truly believe until you bring your desires and you make them subservient to what he brought forth, right? One-liners, right? These were the sayings of the Prophet ﷺ. So part of these traditions is that we feed our neighbors, that we take care of our elders, that we don't use foul language, that we don't cheat, that we don't steal, that we take care of our youngsters, that we show reverence to our elders. These are all from our deen, right? But the only way I'm going to listen to the Prophet ﷺ is if I have a value for Allah, and then I have a value for the value that he gave to the Prophet ﷺ, right? And now to like bring it back, because I've got like another 10, 15 minutes. Now I'm going to make it like real simple, right? Because we've set the stage, I think, really high, beyond what I even do. Mashallah. So a lot of times what stops our heart from opening up to Allah is twofold. One is that we misunderstand what Allah wants from us, right? Allah wants ease from us. So at the end of the ayah, he says, وَيَتُوبَ عَلَيْكُمْ. He wants us to return to him, right? So what was the first thing he said? I want for you clarity. I want for you guidance. And I want you to return back to me, right? This was the ayah. Now, when we look at Jannah, when we think about Jannah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَجَنَّةٍ عَرْضُهَا السَّمَاوَاتُ وَالْأَرْضُ أُعِدَّتْ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. That run, like, you know how we chase paper? The mindset of chasing paper? No, you don't know. You're on mute, Ishan.
I don't chase paper.
What do you chase?
It chases him.
I chase my deen.
MashaAllah.
Whoa. Whoa.
That's beautiful.
Okay, you don't gotta believe me. I don't gotta prove nothing.
Yeah. So, by the way, I'm not judging anybody here, right? Like,
Yeah.
don't get my language twisted. Like, I'm telling you what I personally went through, right? The transitions I went through, and so there was a time in my life where I wanted to be like a billionaire, right? That was the goal in life, right? But my point is, you know how we chase the dunya, like with our education, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Like with our grades, with our education, with our work, with our internships, we hustle. So when Allah says wasari'u, that's the hustle he's talking about. That kind of hustle. That we need to hustle with everything that we have towards the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we do that, we will have we will have a heaven that is more expansive than the heavens and the earth, right? Which is very interesting, right? Because if I made a mistake, why am I getting a reward? And why is it that the path to the gift, to the reward, is through seeking forgiveness? Because when I say seek forgiveness, I'm automatically, implying that I made a mistake, right? That I did something wrong. So human beings don't sin by mistake. We sin by design. It's part of our nature that we mess up. But how do we overcome that? We have to seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we do, for that, Allah will give us an amazing reward. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Kullu bani Adam khata," that all of the sons of Adam, sons and daughters, they are what? They're sinners. Wa khairul khata'in at-tawwabun. But the best of those sinners, right? Subhanallah, the best of sinners, right, are the ones that come back to Allah. And what did Allah say in this ayah? He is waiting for our return back to him. He wants us to return back to him, right? So in another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned that Allah said that if we as a nation, we stop sinning, right? We stop sinning, then Allah would destroy that nation and create another nation that would sin and then seek forgiveness, right? Because the idea is, if Allah wanted to create more angels, then that's what he would have created. But he wanted to create human beings who had freedom of choice, and they choose to go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so when we begin to do these things, right, and we begin to polish our own character, then the people around us, they will be impacted by it. And they will learn from it, and they will want to apply those principles. So here in the United States, if you think about it, you can return anything, right? You can return basically anything, right?
Yeah.
This is actually an Islamic principle. Go ahead.
I'm like an expert at returning things. Like, I swear, it's crazy.
MashaAllah. But if we think about it, this is actually a principle from Islam, that we should be able to return things, right? But if you go to the Muslim world, can you return anything?
No, every time I go to Hillcrop, there's no refunds.
Bro, why
Store credit. Store credit.
They don't even give me store credit. They just give me like,
So that's that.
SubhanAllah. So, Imam Ahmad, thank you for the beautiful program.
You want to just end it here?
No, we can. Would you like to do a Q&A, actually?
Yeah, we can do a Q&A.
Wait, before
in the comments, I see y'all been talking. So
wait. Before you say anything, people are asking me why I'm in my garage. Well, first of all, it's actually because I share a room with somebody, and they will probably bother me during this. So stop getting on me, please. Thank you, guys.
MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah.
So now we're gonna start a Q&A portion. So I see everyone in the comments has been spamming and chopping on me and Ishan. Now, how about y'all ask some questions for our lovely brother Imam Ahmad?
Lovely.
So, can Ishan shave his head for charity? Okay. So someone asked, can Ishan? Oh, that's not a real question. Okay, never mind.
No, I'll answer it.
Can Ishan shave his head for charity?
Choose a charity. I might.
And I will. The person that asked that question was
Doesn't matter.
7.
Okay, get some real questions.
Yeah, let's get some real questions. Can someone actually check the Facebook, see if they're asking any questions?
No, there's no questions.
Oh, okay.
Right. Comments.
Oh, we have Unib Sheikh from Islamic Relief here. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. All right. Anyway, someone asked a real question.
Why are y'all laughing so hard, man?
Wait, let's Imam Saab, let's answer.
Yo, Assalamu alaikum, guys.
So someone asked, let's say you are having a tough time with your parents and want to become closer to them, and you have prayed on it and everything, but what is the next step?
I'm gonna give you some golden advice that I got from a golden goose. All right. So 2 things I'm gonna tell you. Right. Don't quote me on it. Right. One thing is that you can't change older people. You can only change yourself. Right. That's the number one. Number 2 is that our parents. Just remember this. Never judge your parents' intentions. Our parents always want what's best for us. They don't always know what's best for us, right? But we have to keep this in a certain context, right? Because when I was 15, I thought certain things were amazing. And my dad used to tell me, no, don't do it. It wasn't until I was in my 30s where I was like, wow, my dad actually told me not to do that, right? And I began to appreciate it. The human mind, from a scientific perspective, doesn't stop growing until the age of 25. Yani, our ability to actually perceive the world, even at a limited level, is not complete until 25. We're not able to measure risk and reward properly. So we a lot of times we make stupid decisions because we don't understand the risk and we overvalue the reward, right? For example, right? Smoking weed and drinking alcohol, right? A lot of times we fall into it because what is the reward? That I'm going to be cool, right? Or I'm going to be able to chill, or I'm going to be able to. No, we shouldn't do these things, Ishan.
No, I'm saying I don't think those are like really the reasons these days. I think it's more like it's the high.
It's the high, but my point is, like, the first time you do it, do you know what a high is?
No, I've never done it.
Well,
But my point is, My point is like, why do what does it mean to be high? We don't even know what that means until we actually smoke it, right? Until we actually do it, we don't know what that means. So for us to say, oh no, I have anxiety, I want to smoke weed, that's after you started smoking weed, right? Just real talk, right? You know, I'm feeling the pressure of this world. That's why I want to smoke a cigarette, or I want to, you know, smoke a joint, or I want to drink some alcohol, or this, that, and the other. That comes later, right? But the initial thing is, and whatever the reward is, right, Ishan, it doesn't really matter whatever the reward is, because inevitably, like when I actually do it, if you look at any person who smokes cigarettes today, right, ask them, hey, how much money would you give me if you could go back in time and not pick up that first cigarette? Like people are stuck in these things that they started when they were too young to understand the true ramifications or the risks for these things. Same thing goes with fornication, you know, sex and alcohol and all these things. People don't understand the issues that come later. Like, for example, a lot of people will fall into dating because they think that, oh, as long as I don't have sex, I'm not going to have a problem. But think about it from a very practical perspective. That let's say that, you know, you go to an ice cream shop with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, right? And then you get married maybe 6-7 years down the line, or 10 years down the line, whatever, to someone else. And then you go to that ice cream shop with your spouse, with your wife or your husband. What are you going to be thinking about?
Ice cream. I'm just kidding.
So my point is that we have to listen to our parents, but we also have to understand certain things that maybe our parents will not understand. So we have to make them understand, is my point. That our parents always want what's best for us. They don't always know what's best for us. How are they going to know what's best for us if we communicate with them? We have to communicate with them, and we have to come together on our sort of decision-making processes, but we have to let them lead. We have to let them lead, because even if they're wrong, the chances of them leading us to success are greater than us leading ourselves in the situation that we're in, right? And so how do we overcome our problems with our parents? Yeah.
Okay, so when you make that statement, like I'll be honest, I don't come from a high-end family either, right? Like working 2-3 jobs a day. So like for them to lead us, but them only reaching to a certain point in their lives, you know, like working the 2 or 3 jobs, like how are we supposed to just know, like, okay, even if we don't go that direction, it's the right way?
You know how many rickshaw drivers are in India whose children became doctors because of their parents who were rickshaw drivers? Right? No, really, right? So it's not always about, see, like, inshallah, like I will be more successful than my father. And it's not because I was smarter. It's because I didn't have the same responsibilities and obligations that he did. And also, I'll tell you one thing, right? La qadar Allah, something happens to my job, something happens to me, I can always move with my parents. My parents didn't have that option. It was always flight or fight for them. My dad used to go to school at night at U of H. He graduated from U of H, right? When I was 4 years old. And he used to work during the day, right? So, and my parents didn't know English when they first came to the United States. And, you know, just navigating the healthcare system here in the United States is very challenging, right? So my point is that we will be more successful than our parents, not just because we're more intelligent or because we made better choices, but also because we had parents, right, that struggled before we struggled, inshallah. But the point, I guess the question is, how do we build a relationship with our parents, right? And the way that we can do that is by communication. We have to talk, right? And we have to talk in a way where we have no expectations from them, because they are set in their way. And I'm going to tell you one thing that I probably nobody will tell you. Most brown parents have PTSD. Okay, most brown parents have PTSD that's undiagnosed, and the reason I say that is because they struggled very hard to raise us here in the United States. They changed their country, they changed their language, and they built themselves up from scratch. There was so much trauma involved in that, right? And I didn't realize that until I had my own son, my own child. And mashallah, I was born and raised in Houston. I speak English fluently. I know some science too. I'm educated. But when that boy came into this world, my life went upside down, right? And if I didn't have my parents to brace me, it would have been very challenging.
So are we ready for another question?
Yeah, there's someone who asked about, what was it? Let me see.
So first is just a simple question: is organ donating allowed in Islam?
Yeah, that one.
Yes, it is. It can't be like a vital organ, right? But yes, you can.
Okay, and then another big question is:
Don't sell your kidneys on the black market.
Oh, and you can't donate it for money, even though that defeats the word donation.
Renee, that was you?
Yes. No, the question wasn't me.
Oh,
I'm just saying, don't sell. Just because you got 2 kidneys, don't sell one on the black market.
Dude, I gotta pay for college now, man. Come on. So then the other question is, on social media a lot, there's girls that get attacked for not necessarily wearing their hijab properly. Like they'll be wearing hijab loosely and then also showing some other regions of their body that they shouldn't be showing. And then someone will reply with, well, at least he's trying. Stop judging her. Like you see what I'm trying to ask you, right?
No, I don't.
Okay, well,
basically, I'll do
Yeah, go for it.
Basically, it's kind of like I can't really speak on it because it's not on me, but like it's like a double standard. Like you're covering, but you're showing at the same time. Like, how are you supposed to?
So I'll say 2 things on this, right? One is that judgment is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are not allowed to judge anybody, nobody, no matter what it is. And I'm going to give you, it's going to be a long answer, but I think it'll be beneficial. One of my teachers, he told me, he goes, what Allah knows will happen is, right? What Allah knows will happen is, what does that mean? That means that if Bob right now is in the alley drunk off of his mind, if Bob is in the alley drunk off of his mind and he's passed out, but Bob will later embrace Islam and he will become a wali of Allah, he will become a friend of Allah, then even in that moment that Bob is drunk and passed out of his mind, he already is a friend of Allah. However, his actions are not good, but he already has the station of being a friend of Allah because Allah is outside of time and space. So there's a hadith Qudsi of the Prophet ﷺ. He mentions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if somebody messes with a friend of mine, I wage war on them. Real talk, right? Allah is saying, if somebody messes with a friend of mine, I wage war on them, right? And so just a quick question, like, do we know who's a friend of Allah?
No.
Is there like a badge that comes through, maybe like a special kufi, right? No, nothing, right? No light turns on, nothing. We have no indication of who is a friend of Allah. We have certain qualities that we can maybe think that someone is a friend of Allah, but if those qualities don't exist, that doesn't mean they're not a friend of Allah, right? So we have to be very careful as to how we engage people, right? Whether Muslim, non-Muslim, hijabi, non-hijabi, beard, no beard, kufi, no kufi, doesn't matter. We have to give respect, dignity, and honor to everybody we engage with, number one. Number two, what we have to understand is that we're all sinners. We just sin differently. Every single one of us is a sinner. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I just want to like reiterate. So people like in our society, especially today, like we're so focused on like physical sinning. So like, like smoking weed, drinking, all that stuff. So like for me, like I'm not, alhamdulillah, like I'm not on that path, and I will never be on that path. And like people are so focused on that, they forget like the other sinning. So like lying, stuff that is really upon your head rather than actually doing it. So
yeah, no, absolutely.
So I would just,
no, absolutely.
Go ahead.
And so what we have to understand is we have to do both. We have to focus on the 5 pillars, and then We have to focus on the 5 pillars, and then we also have to focus on our character. How do we engage people? We have to do both, right? The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Laysa minna," they're not from us. "Man lam yarham saghirana," those who don't show compassion to the youth, they're not from us. So it doesn't matter how many prayers you make if you're not going to be kind to the children, to the youth. Then the Prophet ﷺ is basically saying you're not from my team, right? وَيَعْرِفْ شَرَفَ كَبِيرًا, and they don't honor their elders. And so it doesn't matter how long your beard is or how tight your hijab is or how amazing your dress is. If you're not going to be good to people, you're not part of the team. The Prophet ﷺ, he also said that, laysa man ghashana laysa minna. Those who cheat are not from us. Cheating doesn't mean just cheating on your spouse, right? Cheating means cheating on your exams. Cheating means everything, right? In any which way, withholding information is also cheating, right? So the question about judging the hijab and all of that stuff, we should do the hijab properly, right? We should not, we should cover up properly. But we all have issues. All of us have sins. We just sin differently. But one last thing on this, right, is that when we will be judged by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will be judged in the context that we're in. Wearing a hijab in the current climate is very difficult, right? And I'm coming.
Let's take this next 5 seconds, and I appreciate Imam Ahmad's child. Can you bring him to the front, please?
Alhamdulillah. He wants me to get out of here. But yeah, like wearing a hijab in Pakistan or Saudi Arabia is a lot easier than wearing a hijab in America, right? So we have to keep that in mind, right? But at the same time, we should do it properly. Our intention should be that we will grow into it. All right. With that being said, you guys mind if I take your leave because my son is literally pulling me away.
It's okay. He's pulling you away from your deen. We're pulling you towards it. Come on.
MashaAllah. No, he hasn't hung out with me all day. I've been online all day almost. MashaAllah. So with that being said, are there any more questions?
Oh, there's a lot, man.
Yeah, there's a lot, but it's fine. Maybe Anib could answer, inshallah.
We can always do another session.
Yes, sir. Maybe a Instagram live stream Q&A coming up soon.
Yeah, just for Q&A. Okay, inshallah. Jazakallah. Sorry for ending early.
Wait, leave? Does everyone else leave?
Let me try. I'm gonna just leave the studio. I think it should be fine because the broadcast is still. But I think we okay. Subhanallah. So I gotta run.
Pause your screen and mute and leave.
Just leave. We'll end it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, just mute yourself.
Okay, just mute it.
Yeah, just do what you need to do, and then
okay. So just be responsible, inshallah, because you guys are on the Maryam website too.
Yes, sir.
We'll try to answer some of the questions.
Inshallah.
Thank you so much.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you so much. Okay. Unib, do you think you could answer some questions? I know you've given me a couple of talks and lectures when I've needed your advice.
It depends if I'm qualified to answer.
Okay, so well, one of them is getting money in a haram way for something halal completely wrong.
Yeah, okay, so that reminds me of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he said, like, a guy will come, he'll come from faraway land, his clothes will be dusty, he looks like he's super wretched, and he'll raise his arms. I'm not giving it word for word what the hadith or the saying is, but I'm just giving you the gist of it. He'll raise his hands, he'll make the most passionate dua, and he'll be right in front of Allah, and Allah will reject what he's asking for. And the reason why he's going to reject it is because his food is haram, his money is haram, his dealings are haram. And so that basically, you can tie that into, like, am I going to use haram money to donate and expect a reward? Am I going to use haram money to go for Hajj and expect my Hajj to be accepted? So no, the the end does not justify the means.
Okay, so like no, like another question, like me and Alian, like we've discussed this before in like a group session at Halakha. It was like to what extent like can we do it? Like if we're forced to, like it's our only income, it's the only way for us to make a living, especially if we have children
Yeah,
or
same
like
thing,
we're
like
raising
even just
them.
gas stations in general.
So
Yeah.
from what I have been taught by like my teachers, and they're your teachers as well, I'm sure you've listened to from them as well, is depending on your scenario, right? You have to remember that Allah is also all just and all merciful, and you can't forget that Allah's mercy exists in many different ways. And so one of those would be, okay, fine, you have to provide. Like it's do or die. You have to provide for your family, and that the only job you could get at that moment in time was, okay, you're working at a gas station, right? Or you're dealing with money in a haram way, but you're just trying to make ends meet, and you have to do this in this moment. You've exhausted all your options. It's not like that was the first thing that popped up and you're like, oh, I'm good because I'm in a tough time. But it's if once you've exhausted all your options, okay, you end up in that situation. But it also doesn't mean you try to stay in that situation either. You don't get comfortable working that job. Now while you're working that job, try to find a halal, a halal means of surviving. You're only using that job as a stepping stone to get into something halal, but you needed it at that moment. It was very crucial for you. If you do have a family, you have children, you have to pay the bills, you're going to end up homeless if you don't, then yeah, that's understood. But you don't get comfy with it, and you don't keep growing in that field too. If you end up you end up dealing with money, interest and stuff, and you start making money off of money, and now you got really good at it, and now you're like, man, I'm making a lot of money doing this job. So maybe I'll stay in it because I'm still in a tough time. Those kind of excuses, remember, you can't cheat Allah. You can cheat people, you can lie to people. You'll never be able to lie to Allah. So that at the end of the day goes back to your own intentions and how you want to go through with things. But I guess the simple answer would be, hey, you got to make ends meet. Just try not to stay in it.
Okay. And then last question is lottery haram?
Yes.
Gambling is straight up haram. Making money off of money, like interest, for instance, making money off of chance, meaning there's nothing solid behind what you're investing into. uh, Businesses isn't one thing. You buy a business and it doesn't end up working, that's one other thing. But in terms of gambling and going off of chance, that is haram. Or
Wait,
fortune telling.
I feel like that wasn't really a complex question. So just do one more. If someone threatens the life of your family and you kill them in self-defense, is that haram?
Okay, look at it from an umbrella point of view, right? The Prophet ﷺ said you follow the laws of Islam and you follow the laws of the land, right? If somebody's threatening to kill you, you don't take it upon yourself to go shoot them down. Okay? First of all, it's a threat. Yeah, it's serious, but there's laws in place, there's procedures in place for you to deal with that. And if you are being threatened by somebody somebody's trying to kill you, then you probably shouldn't be watching this live stream. You should probably be talking to the authorities. But yeah, everything has a due process, and you have to go through due process. You can't take it upon yourself. Just as if somebody, let's say somebody did murder, somebody from your family, and it's your haq to get your right? You can get blood money, or you can get the same thing, right? You can get the death penalty on them, but you can't take it upon yourself. You have to go through a court of law. You have to go through a just system in order to get to those ends. You can't take it upon yourself, or else we would have total chaos just because one guy got paranoid that somebody's trying to, kill him just because he like made a fake threat or something.
Okay.
That's a good answer.
That's good.
Just one last clarification about the bribes. I mean, what do you think the answer is, man? Like, is it ethical? Like, no, like, with all due respect, do you think that's ethical? And that's all I'm gonna say.
About what?
Bribes.
So
Asking in the chat, what is the deal with bribes? I know what they're trying to get at, but just let's answer their question. What is the, I guess, classification on taking bribes in Islam?
Taking bribes. Well, you kind of answered yourself, right? It's ethic. The ethics behind it are very, very questionable. Usually, you bribe people to emotionally manipulate them for something, right?
Yeah.
Like if you look at what you call it, like what's a real life example? People in marriages. I've dealt, like, not personally dealt with it, but I know people who've dealt with this, where a husband will emotionally blackmail his wife, in children, like to consume, to conceive children, and he'll use that as a stepping stone. He'll use that as a foothold, right, to get things that he wants. Be like either keeping children away from her, like we're not gonna have children, or making her have children, and you use that as a bribe. You can use that as a emotional manipulation. And then there's physical manipulations. You can bribe people with something that they can be hurt from. A specific somebody who they get hurt from a certain thing. And it can be in multiple levels too. You can bribe or emotionally blackmail people, because I feel like bribery and blackmail kind of go hand in hand in some cases. So that's why I'm adding, blackmailing or emotional blackmailing. But you can easily blackmail somebody using some weaknesses of theirs. And now you can kind of see the picture, right? You never see anybody using bribes in a positive sense. Even the word bribery itself is not a positive thing, it's a very negative thing. So the connotation around it itself is kind of telling you, okay, is this okay or is this not okay? And it goes back to character. And the Prophet ﷺ said that we should have the best of characters. We should follow his character, which was the best of characters. So I don't think bribery in any sense or form is considered okay.
So I guess we can wrap it up from there. Thank you for speaking for stepping in when Imam Sab had to step out. Announcement we want to make is, so this is the first part of a 4-part series. So next Friday, May 8th, inshallah, we'll be doing a program in collaboration with Imam Tokir and Dallas Masjid, speaking upon the struggle of obtaining patience. Someone mute themselves.
That's Taha.
So yeah, we'll be speaking on that next Friday. It's gonna be on Dallas Masjid Facebook Live and again on YouTube Live. So please try to join us next week, inshallah. Oneeb, could you please close it out with the dua? You're just my go-to guy now that Imam's gone. You're my go-to guy. I'm sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
You're using my script. What I do in meetings.
I'm just gonna say it like this. I'm proud of you guys.
Oh,
I really like what you guys
I didn't mean all that. Hold up.
I really like what you guys are doing, honestly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so inshallah all of this goes on your scales.
And also, we would like to thank all the people that actually joined. Maybe took 1 or 2 things out of this. I was actually really excited for doing this because, like, I really miss everyone. Like, no joke, I miss everyone here. Yeah, go ahead.
That's that. Hope y'all join us next week, inshallah. With that being said,
Wait, who's doing the dua?
Oh yeah, the dua.
Taha, you've done very good duas, man. Come on.
Oh yeah, Taha's done good duas too. I remember at lunch and whatnot. So Taha, go ahead and do the dua.
I'm having technical difficulties. I can't. You're breaking out.
Bro, come on.
Do it, bro. Stop. Just do it.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. All right.
May Allah bring
accept.
happiness. Okay, no, go ahead. No, you wanted to do it, right?
I'm just gonna say, may Allah accept what you guys did, the program, and the people that asked the questions, and the people that learned from it, and may Allah add it to the scales of good deeds for you guys, and give you the ability to also learn from this. I honestly learned from it too. listening to Imam Ahmad. He's a longtime friend, and I learned from you guys too, and that's why I'm proud to see you guys here. So may Allah accept this from all of us, and may He enable you guys to do this again and benefit more people, inshallah.
Inshallah. All right. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How do you leave a call? How do you leave? Hey, should I just stay and just entertain everyone? Hey, let's hey, we can be normal now. We can.
You guys have any requests?
Yeah. Does anyone have anything to say? I'm looking at the comments right now.
No, look, dude. You can see on your right side of the screen. There's a live comment section.
Oh, there is.
That's what I've been looking at. Like, you guys have been going on your phones.
Throw it back. Astaghfirullah, man. Come on.
Hey, you want to make a TikTok? Huh?
Let's do it. Oh, how we been? Wait, can we like get people to join us? Bro, it's because my garage.
We're not the
because
host.
My garage is. Oh, we can't. Oh, it's because my garage.
You know, I was actually gonna call Hassan and bring him on. So
No. You see the link? You see the link that you were sent? The link that the link, like the actual link to this. Yeah. Just send it.
Yeah, no. The only problem with that is that Imam Ahmad has to accept it when they join.
Bro, they're talking about my hair, man. Look, it's the topi. Look, my hair's too long. So when I try to tuck it in, it doesn't tuck in.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's leave.
No, you leave, bro. I'm staying.
Dude, we're also being broadcasted on Maryam Mashhur Facebook Live, so
dang it, guys. Inshallah, on Dulles Live will be a little more free. Let's just keep it that way.
Alright,
guys. Assalamu alaikum. Y'all are one Maryam Mashhur Facebook. What did I just say? It's okay, guys. You're just talking to me now. You shall go live on the gram. Okay, I'll go live. You guys come join me. Let me put it under there. No, I'm not leaving. Okay, guys, go join my live. Okay, good night. How do you do this? X tab where? Oh, just the X button?